I am going to put my hair up in a braid crown using hair taping, which is a hairstyle that was very popular in certainly in the 16th century, and I believe also 17th, probably also 15th. You know, it gets around. It's an early modern hairstyle. I have extremely long hair, um, so down that almost reaches my knees. And so I'm going to start, well, I've just combed it, but I'm going to start with parting it down the middle, getting two sides separated. I'm going to get this little bit, you'll get this half clipped out of the way. And then over here, I'm going to start with a 2-strand twist flat against my head. This is just like doing a 2-ply yarn if you know how to spin. The idea is you want each strand to go one direction while they cross each other the other direction. So I'm twisting this forward and then crossing the whole thing back. And twist this one forward and cross the whole thing back. So just do those two on their own to get started. And then grabbing, see how you can see, okay. Grabbing a chunk of hair, a larger chunk of hair to add to it. Twist forward and cross back. Now that one, add some in, twist forward, cross back. And the purpose of this is that when you're hair taping, you are sewing a braid down to your head, but if you don't do something like a twist or a French braid beforehand, then there's just not a lot of there, at least if you have relatively slippery hair, relatively smooth hair like I kind of do. Okay, so I've got that twisted down to behind my head, and now I have a 6-yard ribbon, which I've already found the center of, and I'm just gonna have to hold this here for some tension. And what I'm doing is looping it over. Okay, so there's it's crossed. That is now crossed around my hair, and from there I can do some half hitches. Can you see what I just did? I pulled a loop around one side of my hair and then pulled the middle through it so that way I'm getting a half hitch knot. And to pull the whole length through there. Hitch up that knot. And getting a third one in place, and that should be enough to hold it. Okay, so now we've got that tied up there. Now I can let this side out. And also there's a knot somewhere at the end of this I need to, that was getting a little annoying, pulling this knot through the thing. Okay, on this side we'll just twist this one as well, and remember, don't think in terms of left and right when you're doing your twisting, think in front and back. So we're twisting them forward and then crossing back. Grab grab some hair, twist forward and cross back. More hair, twist forward, cross back, grab some more. Okay, sorry, the video thingy glitched out, but I've got both sides tied now with ribbon. And so next step is to turn each side into a regular old braid, which could take me a bit of time because I have a lot of hair, well, a lot of length. Put the ribbon that side. I like to put the ribbon in whichever section feels like it's the thinnest, just to bulk it out a little. Also, if you're partway through braiding and you realize that your segments aren't even, you can just peel a little hair off of the thick one and add it to the thin one, and it's fine. Nobody's going to be looking that close. Like, they'd have to be looking really close to tell that you moved, you know, 1/8 of an inch thick strand of hair from one of your sections to the other. As I'm braiding, I keep, well, if you have braided hair, long hair before, you know how the bottom ends have a tendency to mirror the top, which is a useful thing to know if you ever want to do a type of netting called sprong. But it does mean you need to keep working the ends loose as you're going, and they are going to want to catch on the ribbon because the ribbon is way longer than the rest. So after every 2 or 3 braid motions, just kind of pull my hands through. And of course I waited more than 2 or 3 this time, and that's why it's being a little annoying. Alright, there we go. And eventually, if your hair is as long as mine, your arms run out of length. And my hair has a significant taper to it. It is not anywhere near all the same length, so when it gets down to wispy little, not going to bother with, that's when I just stop and tie off a couple half hitches. And it was hard to see what I was doing behind my head before, so just to make it clear, half hitch is that. I do 2 of them, so I will show you on the second time what I did, which is, I was taught this when doing macrame. It's the number 4. See? Wait. Yes. Your direction it's the number 4. For me it's backwards. So it's the number 4, right? And then you grab it through and you grab the end and pull it through the loop you made. And I like to do my half hitches one facing that way and one facing that way so they interlock nicely. And hold on. Now I'm going to do the other side. So I've got both of my braids done, and they have all this ribbon hanging off of them. All this ribbon. And so next I need to get it up into the crown shape. So so I said my hair's a little shorter than knee length. Depending on how long your hair is, you might want to just go straight, like just fold it up like this. But the trouble for me, because my hair is so long, if I go up, I'll show you with just one. Okay, if I were to go up and around and then up again, the trouble is I can end up where the end of my hair is pointing down, and then that's a problem. So, because then it's hard to tie off. So I cross mine down beneath the neck and then bring them up top. And I have to make sure I'm not sitting on them after turning around my chair to show the camera. So I cross them up top and grab my little clippy again and just clip them into place to hold temporarily. Now I need to get my ribbon under control. Okay. Next, I have a yarn needle, big plastic thing, not going to hurt me. And that, for some reason, I start everything on my left-hand side. I don't know why. I put on my left shoe first. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to hold the one that's, so I've got, they have crossed on the bottom, they have crossed on the top, they have crossed on the bottom again. So they're both pointing up right now. And the one that is pointing up on the right, I'm just gonna hold that over here to keep it, hold with my mouth again, just to keep it nice and taut over here, while I start with the left one, sewing around. So I'm manually making sure that my braids are like sort of together and not like, I don't want it to be cutting across the center back of my head. Like that would not be a crown. Okay. And then I always put the needle in from the inside of the crown to the outside. It's easier for me to grab that way and to feel what I'm doing. So first one went just behind the ear basically, and kind of there's, you can see here, there's the tail from where I tied it off, and so just kind of be mindful of that as I'm starting sewing, just to hold that in line with the rest of the crown. And then I work my way up my head, make a stitch every inch or so, and pull it pretty snug, going under the crown, under the braid crown, and into the twist that I did at the beginning, and that's what's going to hold it. Obviously, when you have 6 yards of ribbon, there's you occasionally have to watch for where your ribbon has decided to go, which is somewhere. Where did it go? I'm caught on, oh, there we go. I caught on my entire head. Sure. Get up to the top, and I sort of ease the front of the twist back toward the braid as I'm doing this, to ensure, which is, I have curls in the front, like most of my hair is wavy, but I have curls in the front, and the curls always want to fly away. They always want to pop out and turn little poof balls, and so I'm just trying to extend the amount of time that they are going to stay kind of in place by easing them back toward the braid and then sewing around them. Try to anchor them in a little. Okay, so I have sewn all the way up to the clip, you can see, right? Now the other side. Again, watching out for the little tail on the tied off braid. I feel like this part goes so much faster than the braiding itself. Like, so this hairstyle, a thing I think is nice about it is I can put this up and I can leave it up for 2 weeks. My hair is not very greasy, so I can get away with not even having to wash it in that time, which is pretty cool. That's also a thing that I've sort of trained it on. Like, you can train your hair to go longer between washes, and it'll just, when you are not overwashing your hair, it'll produce less oil. But that 2 weeks thing means that this is a fantastic hairstyle for going to Penzik. Because, like, you know, even if you have, I mean, just, like, who wants to spend a bunch of time on their hair when there's classes to get to, right? Like, there's Penzik University. There are 1,000 free classes for 10 freaking days straight. And they start at 8 a.m. And I'm not a morning person. So if I can just kind of like roll out of bed, toss on a chemise and a dress, and just get my coif in a place on top of my braid, I am happy. Okay, when you get down to the bottom, you want to sort of, especially, so if you cross at the bottom, you're going to end up with like some sort of loose bit back there. Just because, like, you braided, when you did the twisting and the braiding, you were tensioning it out this way, and then you have crossed it this way. And so all that hair that in the middle was stretched out that way is now like, wait, but I'm collapsing? Yeah, whatever. Okay, so the center back, the bottom will have some looseness to it, and probably when you crossed your braid, it probably ended up a little bit low on your nape, and like, whatever. Just when you get there, just make sure you go around all the hair that you want to contain and give a tug to the ribbon and it'll pull together. Okay. So now my ribbons have met at the center bottom, and we're just going to continue up around to about here-ish. Basically, when I get to a crossing point, like the crossing at the top or the crossing at the bottom, I tend to switch ribbons. I suppose you could do one ribbon the whole way around and then the other one the whole way around, but that sounds kind of annoying because the whole, like, dealing with the holding things in place with the clip in between step. I don't know. I feel like that would get annoying. Somebody try it and tell me. Alright, so got up to here. Got this little loose bit. It'll just chill out there for a minute. But yeah, so I can keep this up for 2 weeks, no problem. Normally I would put a little rubber band when I finished the twist, and then do the braiding. But 2 weeks ago I tried doing it, I should hold off on this while I explain this. 2 weeks ago I tried doing it with just the ribbon and doing the half hitches down here, and it worked great. It actually ended up, like, after 2 weeks, I seriously checked my calendar and was like, wait, has this been up for a week or 2 weeks? Because this is like really solid. And it was 2 weeks. So turns out that's really solid if you do that. If you do it this way instead of using rubber bands. Okay, so now I have my two like 1 foot-ish lengths left. I'm just gonna bring them up top and tie it like a shoelace. Of course, you know, tying a shoelace under tension, not the easiest. Okay, so there we go. Little bow. See, I have a bow. And that's it, that's done. You can see it's braid crown. It's probably got some more volume to it at the bottom where they're, I mean, this is the thickest part of my braid. I crossed the thickest parts of the braid, of course it's pretty thick there. So it's probably got some volume back there. So normally, day-to-day basis, I wear a coif on it, which this one is Italian Renaissance style. It also has thin ribbon. I tie it down here, I cross it in front of the braid, and then I give it a little bow at the nape of the neck. Kind of want to tug that forward. Okay, I think I sewed this one. I think this coif is a little bit small on me. But so you can see how that fits. Yeah. And honestly, an Italian Renaissance coif is like the easiest thing in the world to sew. It's a rectangle. It's like one step up from a handkerchief, because if you've ever seen an Elizabethan coif, you know they go pointy here, curve back, and then go forward over the ears. I didn't want it over my ears, so I just made a rectangle. And you know, it's a rectangle where long edge has drawstring, the other long edge fold in half and like sew straight for like 3.5 inches, 4 inches, whatever, and gather the back. I did this just to get it off my ears, and then one day at Pensick somebody was like, wow, how'd you make that? And I went, this is not historically accurate, because I wear it as a religious covering. And they're like, no, it's like the 15th century Italian paintings. And I was like, oh, it does. So it turns out that's cool. I accidentally have an Italian Renaissance coif, or cuffia in Italian. The other thing is, I've been asked, well, if I keep it up for 2 weeks, how do I keep from, like, you know, bedhead? Like, how do I sleep on this? And one thing is that it's great for sleeping on, actually, because with the braid crossed at my nape of my neck, it acts as a little neck bolster. And I was in a car accident 5 years ago where now I can't use a pillow because I can't handle having my head shoved forward like that, which is also why I can't wear a bun on the back of my head, because then if I drive, you know, in a car or whatever, it pushes my head forward, right? That's why I started wearing my hair like this. But this acts as a nice little support for my neck when I'm sleeping, and then my head is just straight on the mattress. But I was asked what I do about bedhead, and there are these satin sleep caps, which any black woman could have told you about. Find them at the regular old grocery store. And I tie that on over my braid each night before bed. And it works nicely. So there you go. That's how to tape up your hair and keep it looking good for 2 weeks.